beautiful edition of The Forge, right here on Taraba Television. We will be taking you through a journey, experience that is peculiar to young people of this generation. We will be delving into drug abuse and substance addiction today. And I'm very sure you're going to learn so much from this edition. And as you know, we have experienced people right on deck to see to your questions. And with me in the studio today is Mr. Glory Ibuka Emeka, who is a knowledgeable, a very good health practitioner at the Federal Medical Center, Jalingo. He works as a pharmacist there. So with his years of experience as a pharmacist, a youth advocate, and mentor, he will be taking us through the journey of how we as young people of this generation can overcome drug abuse and substance addiction. Mr. Glory, please say hello to the house.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, it's a privilege to have you on The Forge this morning. Welcome to The Forge. Okay, without wasting time, Mr. Glory, can you tell us what do you know about substance abuse and addiction?
Okay, so like she said, my name is pharmacist Ibuka Glory, and with my little years of experience, see the impact of substance abuse and addiction. But answering that question, I want to first of all talk about addiction before substance abuse. Whenever we see addiction in play, we see it as a symptom to an underlying problem. So there is a problem that people are neglecting.
Okay.
And then there are coping mechanisms that people indulge to either distract them from the reality of the problem or to dissociate them entirely from the reality of the problem. And so this coping mechanism can be behavioral or it can be substance. So behavioral in the sense that people get distractions from gambling, from gaming, from sex and all that. And some persons gain that distraction from the reality of the problem from substance. So for us to understand the substance abuse, we must first of all know that addiction on its own is a symptom to an underlying problem. So people tend to cope with the challenges that are around, and because of that, they tend to look for coping mechanisms that would help them. So, and substance abuse becomes something that is handy, something that is easy, and something that will give them complete dissociation from the challenges that are around them. Behavioral addiction, by the way, addiction stems from the continual doing and doing again, coming over and over again, because you just need to be distracted from the problem. So substance abuse, the reason why it is at the top amongst all other coping mechanisms is because it elicits its effect on time. Once you take it in, there is a surge of dopamine, hallucination sets in, and then all of a sudden problems are forgotten, so to say. Temporarily. So, but then all other kinds of addiction like behavioral, it takes time. Sex, it takes time. Gaming, it takes time. So people find it easier to get into that world of fantasy with substance abuse, and that's why it's been one of the most common addiction that is around in our space.
Thank you so much for that. I love that. So substance abuse is actually the one that is prevalent and is one we are talking about right now. So thank you. So what do you think are the causes of being addicted to these drugs and substances?
So like I said, the addiction is a symptom that there is an underlying issue. No one gets addicted. So for us to understand the causes, we must look at the problem that has plagued mankind. So I just want to say a few that could cause this addiction, mostly on substance abuse. Number one is dysfunctional homes and society. The home is the first place of socialization, is the first unit of socialization, and children rising up and they see that the practices that their parents indulge in and the teachings that they give them at home are conflicting. It builds doubt in these children as to the reasons why they should stand for what is right. So at such point, it is already creating a dysfunction in those children. And growing up to a society where there is peer pressure, where there is influence on social media, where there are challenges of life, if the family has failed at that point to bring up things that will grow these children and make them to understand the basic morals about life, not talking about even spiritual or other aspects, but the basic morals that is non-changing, specific to time, specific to location, is something that is the same here, something that is the same there. So when children rise up from a dysfunctional home, it opens them up to so many things, and in order to get distracted from the already created problem,
they venture into drugs.
They venture into drugs. You know, there is problem at home, there is violence, physical violence, emotional breakdown, disorganization at home. That's one. Then secondly, the nation at large, the state of the nation at large cannot be overlooked. If the government does more, they are trying, but if the government does more for the younger generation, if the government considers high youth, if the government places some systems and structure to see that we are being shielded from the labor market, we are being shielded from the responsibility of the young, it goes a long way. The many persons that are involved in addiction are people that are unemployed, people that they don't have anything to offer to the society, and
just there.
They see it as an avenue to escape the reality of what is coming ahead of them. We can't overlook peer pressure.
Wow.
We can't overlook peer pressure. We can't overlook when people outsource their worth. They wait for the validation of every other person. Whatsoever you want to do, you seek validation from people online. And so because of the celebrities, the stars that are given to this substance abuse, they influence this younger one. So these are some of the causes that needs not to be neglected.
Wow, thank you so much for that. Master Glory has told us about dysfunctional homes. So this is a wake-up call to we parents. Please make your home your priority. When you do this, your children will be shielded. You have talked about peer pressure and negative influence. So thank you so much for that. Moving on, you said that what substance or drugs are commonly abused among young people of this generation?
Okay, these things has been there for a long while, but invention keeps coming out.
Okay.
I'm looking at Taraba now as immediate location. What is common now is what they call ice.
Ice.
Ice, yes. The generic name is methamphetamine.
What do you call that?
Methamphetamine.
Okay.
That's a generic name for it. That's what is very common now. And we've gone through the waves of tramadol, we've gone through the waves of
so they're no longer relevant like before.
They are, but the reason for the choice of ice is because it's odorless, it's tasteless.
Wow.
So it maxes the signs that you see before when you are taking Colorado, when you are taking tramadol and the rest. So it's rampant now, and it elicits its action very fast. So this is one of the things that are mostly common among the young people now. The one that is also in vogue, but I don't think it has come to this part of the world, is what the Ghanaians call the Winum Reg.
Wow,
the Winum Reg. So it's something that's very destructive because it affects the respiration, it affects the brain, and a dose of it you're already off.
Wow. That's so serious. I love what our guest has done. He was so specific about Taraba. He said the highs. So please, as a young person out there, if you are also into taking up these highs, please let us desist from it. So thank you so much for that. You mentioned peer pressure and influence. You mentioned family background, and I want to have social media influence. You said something about that. So can you expatiate this? How does this really affect, or how does this really shape our society, shape the young people into the use of drug and then substance abuse?
Okay, so music is the food for the soul, and it's inescapable. People feed on it in their down times, when they're happy. At all points, music is just the food for the soul. But statistics have revealed that over 70% of the high life songs, they promote these things.
Wow, 70%.
Over 70%
That's a large
of the
number.
high life songs, they promote these things. They make it glamorous. They make it something that should be accepted. So, and the stars, the celebrity, just for instance, one of them that is called Naira Marley, in most of his songs, in some of his songs, not just him, some of the musicians, some of the stars that are widely followed, they make these things look accepted, they make it look glamorous. And these things are things that people feed on a daily basis. And as you keep singing them, you keep fantasizing about them. So many young persons that do not have the knowledge about the harmful effects of this substance, due to curiosity, lack of knowledge, and lack of parental guide and counsel, they indulge into some of these things, and a little, a short, a little, one step, and before you know, it turns to addiction. Wow. So the social media has been positioned to publicize these things, to bring these things to the market, and it's influencing so many persons, because this is a world of the digital age. This is a digitalized age, and so everybody goes up there to the Facebook feed, to the TikTok, to the Instagram to spend time, and they consume some of these things, and it begins to fantasize in their world. So that's the place of social media, and it should be watched against. It should be watched against. There should be a ban, there should be a regulation somehow on the things that our youth, our younger persons consume. Then speaking about peer pressure, there is every tendency, like I spoke earlier, outsourcing your worth. When you don't know who you really are, when you don't know what has been invested in you by the parents, by the society, by the school, there is this tendency to always seek for validation from outside. Okay. And so when you give out that leverage for persons to validate everything that you do, there is always a pressure that is being placed upon you, and then in order to fit in, you hear them say, if you never high, you are not yet a G. They call things that are not that are bad. They give it a name as though if you've not done it, you've not yet arrived. Yes. So, and if in order to fit in, people succumb and they give into that. So peer pressure, the social media, and even family background. I've noticed that parents will not be given to smoking, they will not be given to substance abuse, but they drink. Wow. They take alcohol, they take what they call locally here brukutu, they take some of those things. And when children watch them, they see that whenever their parents take these things, it's as if they are out of the entire reality of the problem that exists in the family. So children begin to wonder, if this is a coping mechanism for my dad, why can't I try substance?
Also mentioned.
So family background, people that don't take alcohol as anything, this is a building block to investing in your children on seeking for other means, and you may not be there when it's destructive.
Wow. So I'm very sure parents watching this can pick one or two from this. That's alcohol you're taking while your children is watching. It is actually having a very negative impact on your child. So please, we can actually do better. And then social media, music. It gave a statistics that 70% of all these high life movies, music, they promote drug addiction and abuse. So please, let's be careful of what we watch and what we expose ourselves to. Thank you so much, pharmacist. I myself am learning from that. So this drug abuse and substance addiction, does it actually have any effect on the body, short term, long term? Is there any effects?
Of course.
Okay, so
of course.
Please, what are the effects?
We were taught in school that all drugs are poison. What makes it drugs is a given concentration. So our expertise as pharmacists is because we give those poison at a therapeutic concentration that will be toxic to the human body. So what actually happens is that when these stimulants are taken, there are things called neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, and the likes. There is a surge of it on the brain because these stimulants, normally the brain is regulated that whenever these stimulants are in high concentration, the brain stops producing them. It takes them up back into himself. So what this stimulant does is that it blocks that reuptake mechanism, making it that there will be availability of more concentration of those neurotransmitters in the brain. And when they are available, there is euphoria. You feel high, what they call high. But at the long run, the brain shuts down because you are giving it a different code from what has been encrypted on it. The brain shuts down, and then it tolerates the concentration of what you are giving it into the body. And before you know, it begins to misfire. You see people now setting into depression, people now setting into anxiety, people now setting into hallucination. That's what we call madness, insanity. Insanity is when you see things that are not real. When you hear voices. Strange voices. So you find out that the brain begins to act abnormal because of the concentration. It crashes it at a particular point in time because this is not the normal way
it's used to.
So at the long run, we see insanity. And if you get to our psychiatric hospital, you see the concentration, the number of persons that are, that are already insane because of drugs. I was speaking with one of my head. We were in a conversation in the dispensing unit of one of his cousins that all of a sudden in the road he began to pull off his clothes. And we tend to spiritualize some things, but then we must just understand that these are the negative impacts. That's one. Secondly, these are the people that are used for thuggery. Because when you are high, as they say it, life means nothing to you.
No purpose.
You are off reality. You are off the pros and cons about life. So these persons are, NDLEA gave us a stat that 90% of the criminal acts are being tied to drug substance abuse. So it is easier for you begin to wonder what conscience do someone have, to perpetrate evil. They no longer have conscience because they are not in the reality of pain. They don't feel that someone is going through pain doing the things that they are doing. So you see, it affects the society. Aside the body, it affects the society. The dream and the future. They keep saying we are the future of we are the
future of the country.
We are the people that are rising to take over systems. We are no longer preparing for what lies ahead. And so its impact on us as human beings. You can come down with liver problem, you can come down because the liver and the kidney, these are the major organs that are responsible for detoxifying all these drugs out of the body. And when you keep loading and loading and loading, you can come down with liver problems, with kidney problems. So it impacts on our health. It drains resources. That's what leads many of them to stealing. Just something that happened yesterday. A drug addict came into Federal Medical Center, and he came in, and probably he must have gone to all the pharmacies and probably did not get a supply of the drug he needs. So he complained to the doctor that he's feeling pains, general pains. And when the doctor began to prescribe, he said, no, that all these things do not work for me. Just give me pentazocine. Pentazocine is one of the injections that is mostly abused. Just give me pentazocine. And at the long run, we noticed that it was addiction. But as we gave him that injection, we found out that as it was administered, we found out that all of a sudden he said it's okay and he wants to leave. So we found out that he was actually an addict. And you see, the surge, there is wastage of resources, it affects the health, it brings problem to the society, to the parents. So the impact it's having is something that cannot be overlooked.
Wow, this is eye-opening. I'm sure that you as a young person out there, you don't want to be depressed, you don't want to be roaming the streets like a mad person. So please, you need to desist from drug addiction. Okay, I know with your years of experience, can you share with us any story about a drug addict? How does it end? So that people can learn from practical stories.
Okay, to share just to one that I know that recovered from it, and then secondly, the person that I could see that did not recover from it as at this time. But we are hoping that this our message gets out as a message of hope, recalling many persons back to sanity. So I know of a young lady back then while we were in campus. She indulged in in drug addiction. She indulged in drug addiction, and from drugs it enters into other things. But somehow, in the presence of the community, in the presence of the church, in the presence of friends, she was able to come out of it. And it was something that was dramatic because she tried the first time, she returned back into it. The other person I was talking about, of course, he couldn't graduate as at the time when I left school. You could see that there was a disconnection in thoughts. There was no coordination in speech. He says things, he sees things, he tells us that he hears things, and these are things, it makes you misfit for the society.
This is so pathetic. So, considering all the side effects associated with drug abuse, what support system is the government putting in place to help youths suffering from addiction, or to even safeguard young people into venturing into it?
So it's a collective effort, and I appreciate the efforts of the Excellency, Dr. Ibuka. The government have a role to play, the family have a role to play, the school have a role to play. But as of last year, when NDLEA found out that over 60% of youths in Taraba State indulge in drugs.
60%?
60%, that was the start. The governor came up with a task force to see how to pursue for rehabilitation. He proposed building a rehabilitation lab for all that are going to come in. So it's a collective effort. Of course, the platform that I was given to speak, which is the Forge, is a foundation that is also moving against drug. And there are so many foundations out there. I think the problem really lies with the drug addicts.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. So what, as a drug addict now, what are the practical ways, proven and tested ways or measures that can be taken to overcome drug addiction?
Speak out.
Speak out?
Yes. Seek help.
Wow.
That's the foundational. Seek help. There are many foundations, there are many institutions, there are many things that are out there that can help you. And that's why one of the symptoms is that they normally withdraw themselves from community, from company. They always stay alone. If you speak out, that's the beginning of the solution. Wow. Speak out.
Okay, thank you so much. So this is to every drug addict out there. Please speak up, speak out. There are lots of people there ready to help you. I'm sure they can speak out to even your religious leaders, your parents, your teachers in school. Please speak out and you will find help. So, Pharmacist Glory, as we round up this edition of The Forge, what advice will you give to young people out there as regards drug and substance abuse?
So, like I said, that drug addiction or any form of addiction is a symptom to an underlying problem. And for us to be able to solve this issue, all hands must be on deck. At the family level, at the government level, and you yourself as a drug addict. But I want to say this, that the freedom and the sanity that you desire begins from you. There is a need for you to come out. There is a need for you to seek help. And seeking help is not relying on going back to those drugs. Sometimes we become helpless. But I can tell you there are 1,001 foundations, there are 1,001 persons that are investing so much to see that you are free from this addiction. So as we are imploring on the government to take into cognizance the state of the nation as it affects the youth, we are imploring on families, give your children time. Parents, it's good to provide money, it's good to provide a shelter, it's good to provide food, but give your children time. Schools and principals and teachers is a collective effort. Please look after the words that are committed into your hands. And as a drug addict, these are machineries set up at every point, at your family level, at your schools, and even at the government level. Seek help. The beginning of your freedom is when you seek help. And I'm believing that if you could hear me and do as I have said, if the government could consider us, consider the young persons, and families could live, let their teaching and their practices go together. As a father let your teaching and the practice of your own lifestyle go together. With this, we can raise up a system where children will be functional, and we can hope of a better future in the nearest time to come.
Thank you so much, Pharmacist Glory. It's such a productive conversation we've had today on drug and substance abuse as well as addiction. So this is a wake-up call to we the parents, school owners, teachers, even you as a drug addict. Please, we've had a lot of side effects and disadvantages that comes with drug addiction. So please, you as a drug addict, speak out just like as he said. And parents, please, let's see our kids, our words as our responsibility, because you will be held accountable if you did not take care of them like you ought to take care of them. And with this, we've come to the end of the Forge for today. Thank you so much, Pharmacist Glory, for joining us on this edition. We are very, very grateful for having you, and we are sure that a lot of people have learned so much. So here right now we are drawing the curtain for the Forge. See you next time, another day. I hope you live with the lessons you've learned today. I remain your host for the Forge right here on Taraba Television, Victoria Solarone. Thank you. Have a good time.